Ready, Butch? Live.
All right, welcome everyone to City Council meeting for Monday, June 13th. If we could have a roll call, Madam Clerk, to establish quorum.
Terry McClung.
I'm here.
Melissa Green.
Here.
Harry Meyer.
Here.
Bill Ott.
Here.
Nick Roberts.
Here.
And Autumn is Zooming. Are you there?
Here.
Okay,
Good.
we have 6.
All right, if we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second. All right, I'd like to add at the bottom, which would be a new business number 6, I guess, discussion of the North Main Street bids. Anybody else have anything? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Get a motion to approve the minutes for May 23rd.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. In your application, under the Planning Commission, we have an application from Susan Harmon for the Planning Commission on position 4. Susan, of course, was on City Council, and I think at one time was representative on the Planning Commission before.
Yes.
So, Mr. McClung?
Is everyone familiar with Susan?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and approve her for the position. She has knowledge. She's worked it before. She's pretty thorough.
She was an excellent
Yeah.
planning commissioner.
Second.
All right. Is there any further discussion about Susan Harmon on the Planning Commission? Hearing none, all in favor of Susan Harmon being appointed to the Planning Commission, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we do have a couple other vacancies. Of course, we have them on CAPC, also have one for the hospital. If you're out there and interested in working with the city and city hospital, please let me know. And then we also have position vacant in the Parks Commission. Actually, we have 2 positions vacant. I just received another resignation today from somebody who had started a new business. So we need some help on the Parks Commission. So if you're interested in either one of those, please let me know, and let's see if we can get you on there. That brings us up to public comments. Have anybody on public comments? I see none. All right.
All right.
That brings us up to our new business, which is first item of business is the discussion of the legislative audit for the Parks Commission. Get a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Second.
All right. We have Scott, the director of our Parks Commission here, and Scott Miskell. Scott, would you like to address some of the things that came up with the legislative audit?
Yes, I'd be delighted to. Thank you. Good evening. I'd start out by saying that I'm happy to say that the issues that were addressed here have all been resolved, and long ago. In short, I was appointed on October 29th, 2020 as the interim director, and in a very short period of time it became very apparent that our books were not as they should be. There were a number of, in fact, numerous issues that we decided to tackle. I say we because I had a lot of help from then Commissioner Ruley and Barden, who were both on our Finance Committee. So we started digging into the issues, a number of things. We totally revised our chart of accounts, made it much simpler. We put in provisions that prevented errors from being able to happen. For instance, for our 1/8 cent sales tax, it now gets deposited into a separate account that's not commingled with any other funds. It's deposited directly that way from the finance department. And so it's nearly impossible then to make errors in those sorts of things. But to address the three things that were brought up in this audit, and I'll start with the most important one, which was bank reconciliations were not properly prepared or approved by someone other than the person preparing the reconciliation. That was just unfathomable that when we saw that literally for years the bank accounts had not been reconciled. And so you can't, of course, just pick up where you walk into the office. You have to go back. We went back. I remember one error I came across. It was as early as 2014. So we had to go back, and we did go back. We debated, do we just start fresh from where we are? In other words, start with a fresh set of books, but decided that wasn't acceptable. We tried to hire 3 different accountants to go back and do all those reconciliations, and were unable to get that done. So finally, in January of 2021, I locked myself in a room for about 3 full days, went back all those years, found all the errors, and had them reconciled. We then, I had Scott Barden, as I recall, was the one that reviewed that, either Scott or Kevin, but I'm pretty sure it was Scott. So he, as the statutes require, he reviewed the work that I did and approved it, and ultimately it was approved by the commission. So that one is done, and I'm happy to say that since that time, I will not allow that to get back to where it was. I reconcile the accounts myself within a week or so usually within the first week of the new month. Then one of the people on our finance committee then goes over the work that I've done. And he's come in and in fact doesn't just skim through it. He's looked through, he'll pick some random checks and double check everything, and so it's working really well. And I expect that to continue. There was another one, cash receipts and disbursement journals were not properly maintained as required by statute. That has been resolved. I'm not sure that was necessarily an issue. It's one of those things where we had, as cash was entered into our system, into our accounting system, we, of course, have a journal of it then, but our auditors had indicated they wanted a paper journal that goes along with that, at least for cash transactions. And so that's now done. The third one was receipts were not issued for all funds received as required by statute. And that's not quite the way it sounds either. It's not that receipts were not issued. If you read the statute that they cited, there's a couple of requirements that they have. Among others, they have to have sequentially numbers, or be sequentially numbered, so people can't remove receipts or add them, and the receipt books that we had didn't have that. So it's not that receipts were not being issued, it's that the receipt books we were using did not comply with the statute, and that was a very easy fix, of course. So those 3 things having been fixed, I'm confident that things will remain in good shape, with the exception that I would like to caution you, just that because all of this work happened in 2021, it is liable that some of these issues are going to come back up in our 2021 audit, since they weren't fixed until throughout the year. So we may see these issues again, but I'm hopeful that the auditors will see the systems that we have in place, and if they do raise those issues, because I'm not sure how they handle that, if they see that something for a partial period of the year was still an issue and then it was fixed, hopefully their audit would state that. So that's where we sit right now, and if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
What accounting system do you use now, software?
We use QuickBooks. the online version of QuickBooks, which I'm not really fond of. I used the PC version of QuickBooks for about 22 years for my business years ago, and loved it. This one unfortunately has some issues, but that's what we use. We've used it this long, and there's no sense changing now. We would have to start essentially with a fresh set of books, and we wanted to be able to go back and compare things from year to year.
You still have, I know in the past, Justin said that, there were no ways of dividing up checks, that you couldn't put anything, you'd have to just, because they use the free version. And you're not talking about the free version, are you?
Oh, no, we pay for it.
Okay, all
Yes.
right.
Yes.
That's all I need to know.
Okay.
Anyone
other-
else?
I just want to thank you for clearing that up for us and going over that, taking the
Yes,
time. I really
yes.
appreciate it, and especially those 3 days locked in solitary.
It-
Getting
it-
done,
it was-
so Thank you.
It was quite a job. You can't just go back and start from last month and say, well, we're going to get things right from here on. You have to start with a set of books that's, it's a chain. Took a long time, but everything's good now, and I think both Kevin and Scott, neither of which are on our commission right now, but the work that they did was way beyond what is expected of essentially a volunteer position as a commissioner. So I thank them both, even though they're unfortunately not on our commission at the moment. Is that all?
Thank you.
If there's
Thank you.
nothing else, thank you very much, Scott. We
you.
appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Making the presentation. All right, if there's no other discussion on this regarding the parks, our next item is discussion of the 2020 legislative audit for the Cemetery Commission. Get a motion to discuss.
So move.
Second.
All right, Mr. L.B. Wilson is here, Director of the Parks Commission, of the Cemetery Commission. Welcome, Mr. Wilson.
Well, thank you.
I saw you watering plants and filling fountains up.
What was that? Well, good evening. I'm a little bit shorthanded tonight. Our treasurer had a thing come up.
You might need to raise the microphone up a little bit.
A little shorthanded tonight. Our treasurer has a personal situation. She couldn't attend, but I'll try to address any questions that you might have. From what I gather, there were some discrepancy that concerns in the 2020 state audit as it relates to the Cemetery Commission, and these have been addressed. Please realize that most of all the current commissioners, if not all, of the Cemetery Commissioners were not present in 2020. Regarding the bank reconciliations, I think that's the one that's kind of a highlight. Each bank the bank reconciliations are up to date, including 2021. And the requirement for a second signature is in practice. The cemetery has purchased a new computer, which is only used for the financial reports of the commission. The position of secretary/treasurer has now been separated into two positions. We have eliminated the use of a credit card by staff or commissioners. We bid all work projects to be engaged in by the cemetery. We also look for a lesser price when purchasing items needed on a regular basis. All members of the commission are very aware that the cemetery belongs to the people of Eureka Springs, as we are the commissioners very conscious of spending the people's money, funds from the city and funds from the property owners of burial plots. And, basically on behalf of the Cemetery Commission, we thank volunteers and folks that make donations, and certainly your cooperation and support, because without you all, we wouldn't have the cemetery that we have. Any questions?
Any members, any questions from the council?
Oh, you're going to let me off easy, huh?
I have a question.
Uh-oh.
Yes, Ms. Lane?
Who is doing the bank recons? Who's checking over those these days?
The bank what?
Reconciliations.
The reconciliations.
Judy Horton. She's
who?
Judy Horton, the treasurer. She's not here tonight, and
Okay.
I'm a little uncomfortable because of that, because she knows a lot more about it than I do.
Did you hear that, Ms. Lane?
I did. And who is the second person?
I sign off on the
Oh,
reconciliation.
okay. Understood. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
LB, thank you very much for your volunteers. I know the cemeteries are all volunteers, and y'all put in a lot of work, and I have to say that y'all did a great job over the Memorial Weekend, and it's looking good out there, so thank you very much.
We aim to please. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. All right, that brings us up to our next item. Business is discussion of the bidding for Black Bass Dam. Get a motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss.
This is an item that has been on my list anyway, for over 15 years. I know those who've been on the city council have been concerned about it too, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. I've been looking for monies to help us not restore it, but to repair the dam for years. This last year, we finally got a grant from FEMA to come up and help us. It's a small grant, $300,000, I believe, on there. And we've also got some of the COVID money that we were going to be able to put in on it also. And so we decided at this time it was a perfect time, even though sure the cost has probably increased because of COVID, but the dam's not going to get any better. It's just continuing to get worse. Mr. Hathaway is here, who prepared the engineering drawings that are in front of you right now. And Dwayne is here also if we got any questions from Public Works. We've done a lot of repair in the past in trying to stop the dam from leaking, and it really wasn't successful. And at this point, what we're trying to do now is basically, well, maybe I better let Mr. Hathaway explain what exactly his proposal is that we're putting out and wanting to get bids for.
I guess we can start, but I don't know what all you all have. If you have questions, Butch wanted me to be here in case we have questions. I didn't, yes, sir.
I got to glance over this before the meeting, and a couple of questions. One, are you going to remove the stone face that's on it? Did I get that correct?
No, sir. We will not remove what's there. In fact, I don't really want to take the stone that's laying at the bottom of the dam now.
You're going to leave it there as well?
I want to leave it there for two reasons. One, it's just going to cost to transport it if we try to put it back up. And secondly, it will replace the amount of additional stone we'll need. We're going to use that stone as fill for the bottom layer.
Okay, so it's going to be used then?
Yes, sir, it'll be used.
Okay, and then, so this stair-step plan, that itself is, I mean, it's not going to be a spillway itself, is it?
It will act as a spillway in a sense when the dam overtops, if the dam overtops.
If it, so, okay, I was wondering, because it kind of
And the
gave
stairs,
that appearance. And
the stair-step design that I did there is to dissipate the energy as it
Right.
comes over. If we just stack the stone up against the wall at an angle, then you haven't done anything about the velocity of the water pouring over.
Of course.
And you're going to lose part of your dam, if not undermine it at the bottom. So we've actually moved the line of protection out, and by doing the stair step, we'll dissipate the energy as it falls down.
Right, I understand that. The existing spillway with maybe some improvements will still be there, and that will be the primary spillway. It's just for if it should over the top.
That is correct.
Okay. I think, and then it's concrete. And is that then faced, or is that just going to be just a concrete will be the exposed finish?
Well, the concrete is only on the horizontal surfaces.
That's the only concrete, isn't it? Those slabs,
There is a slab that caps each one of the steps.
and then cut stone sitting on top
The
of it.
stone, when you look at the dam, you won't see the concrete
Yeah.
because it's
Oh,
on
you
the
won't?
flat surface.
No.
I'm missing that here. I'm not,
There's a section, you ought to have a section through the dam there
Section
with your
4.
information.
Look at section 4.
Quarried stone.
I think that's on sheet 4.
yeah, so you've got, let's see,
Quarry stone, size of 24 inches deep, 13 inches high, and 48 inches long.
and then that's a concrete cap. That's it's more than 6 feet, actually. The concrete cap is like an 8-foot.
8-inch.
8 inch thick and, yeah.
Each stair,
Yeah, 8-inch thick and 8 feet wide.
each flat slab there is about 6 foot in length.
Oh,
Each step.
It doesn't extend underneath the, like
It's a-
that top one does, it shows it extending underneath the, yeah, they all do.
Each one is under on the high side and on top on the...
Yeah. Because it shows it being 6 feet to the next upright, and it looks like it's so then it's 2 feet underneath that existing, or that next upright, so it'd be 8 feet in width.
Yes, approximately 2 feet. The stone vary a little bit
Yeah, sure.
in size.
Okay. Okay, so it'll be cut limestone facings
Yes,
for all the, vertical.
yes.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. That's, okay, now I understand what it is.
The stair-step design is primarily for dissipation of the energy, but it
Right.
also, if you look at some of the old photographs of the dam, it had the stair-step face on the outside, similar to this, so we kind of went back and picked up the original design of the face of the dam. The stone, as you see on there now, has been added many years ago, so.
Okay, I understand. So now, what are we wanting to do? We want to,
We need to just get the motion to go ahead and put this out for bid.
I move we put it out to bid.
Okay, get a second.
Second.
All right, further discussion. Terry?
well, I mean, it looks all wonderful, and if the FEMA grants, what, you say 300?
Right.
And I don't know what, we have COVID.
We'll probably have another 300 available from our COVID money that's coming in.
That
That's
has
about
already
it.
come in.
We'll have 100, and we've spent a lot of the COVID we spent half on the bonuses. And so we have about 120, 100 and something, 20, 30,000 left of that, and then we'll have another 250 coming in. So we'll have about 600. And we don't know what the bid's going to come in yet, so that's why we have to put it up for bid.
Sure.
Yeah.
I understand.
And we're going to go ahead with Nabholz doing construction manager because they can get it in. We're running into a time crunch, too, of getting the FEMA. We've got an extension for the grant, but doing the construction management system, again, they're putting it out for bids.
Was Nabholz able to give you some kind of projected idea?
Not yet, because they're still getting bids. Because we're getting bids from local stone people. This is majority stone work.
Well, I understand, but I mean, there's a lot of prep getting it all.
Yeah. We haven't been able to get that done, Terry.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is not going to be like what we did on the basement here and just have it, all of a sudden we get this in front of us and then we got to.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure. I mean, we need to get the bids, and then it'll come back for the council to approve the bids.
Okay. So we'll get to look at the bids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So we're not approving construction, we're just approving to go out for bids.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am?
Is this anything that the CAPC could help with? Interstate statute, it says that we could use construction, reconstruction, repair, maintenance of city parks.
I don't know. Ms. Lane, that's something we can look into and see, and I have maybe our attorney look into that and possibly see if they can. That's a
Maybe
good
small amount,
suggestion.
at least to help.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Any other questions, comments? All right, got a motion and a second to go ahead and put this out for bids. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. Okay, our next item of business is discussion for bidding for the chemical storage building. Get a
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right. For many of us on the council, or at least three of us, four, we started talking about a chemical storage building pre-COVID. And then COVID hit us, and at that time, we were planning on using the I&I infrastructure money to construct it. And at that time, came up where we could pay for this thing within 3 years from the savings from buying the chemicals in bulk. Right now, we're paying, I want to say, and Dwayne is here and he can correct me, around $225,000 a year in chemicals. And of course, I think we're just going to see that continue up with gasoline prices and storage and deliveries. So the last estimate, again, I had on this was, I want to say around $300,000. I'm not sure. Dwayne, is that correct? You want to come up and... But we've been working with the state, trying to get their approval with the ADEQ since September, just to get this approved from the state. So we finally got their approval, and what you have in front of you are the drawings of the engineer, and we had a lot of trouble getting the engineers, so it's taken several years to get that done. But we're at this point now where the state finally gave us approval, I think 2 weeks ago, to go ahead and let this out for bid. So, Dwayne, am I missing something?
No, you were correct. It's we're up over 200,000, in annual chemical costs. Excuse me.
And we're still anticipating that we'll be able to pay this off within 3 to 4 years.
And one thing I didn't add to that, with the situation now with the totes, we're paying freight on that. Before we were kind of swapping out, but this is trucked in, and so now the freight, of course, is we're going to be paying as much on freight as we are chemical the way this is trending. So,
What are the savings?
do what?
How much is the chemical without the,
Well, that's the 200. Yeah, I didn't add freight to that. We're looking at the Allen one from $4.27 this year to $5.09. Caustic's up to over $7 a gallon. We're paying per gallon on that. So, plus those totes, so there's a lot of danger there. Chemical burns. We've had,
oh yeah.
So it's we definitely.
So how much will we save if we buy it bulk?
Well, we're talking the chemical cost. We're talking, of course, we'll have some delivery costs. So this will be bulked into these
Sure.
The 5,400 gallon tanks. But we're talking 1/3 of that 200,000. So we'll be down 1/3 of what we're paying chemical wise. So that was the cost originally, looking at the 3-year projection of the payback. Of course, cost, we're going to be up some, but I don't think we're not looking at a 50% increase or anything. So we'll.
Mr. McClung?
So if I understand you correctly, so if the chemical's costing us $210,000 a year, we'll be able to get it for $70,000.
That's correct, yes.
And if it's comparable for freight, would that still be the same at 1/3 of the cost if it's going to be?
Well,
If we're spending $210,000 on freight, and I find that hard to believe, but if, you know,
No, we're not to that extent, but I just kind of saying that as that increases now with the cost of fuel, but the freight is getting out of hand. But no, you're correct, because we're looking at delivery charge when these tankers come in and fill this, will, you know, of course, will be a lot less. So we're saying, all right, that 300,000 with the freight and everything, and we're reducing this down to a little over 100,000 in a year. So it's a vast savings.
that's what I'm trying to get at, so we can all understand what, you know, what the true savings can really be.
Right.
And what's the capacity of the tanks? How many times do we have to fill them a year?
Well, we're of course, we're using about 40 gallons a day, and this is 5,400 gallons, both these tanks. There's two chemicals. We'll have like a 150-gallon little day tank that we work out of, you know, per day for safety. But, you know, you're talking every quarter or so we're filling. And now, you know, every month or so we're trucking in.
Oh, yeah.
So because, of course, storage and stuff, we don't want to get too far ahead. And then with the totes also, we have to clean those up to get rid of them. They have to be, you know, scrubbed out.
They don't want them back.
Not anymore. Yeah, unfortunately, that's we're hung with them, and of course then there's the cost of anything that we can't clean to a certain extent. We've got to solid waste it out too. So, you know, that's even more
Just for
savings.
environmental reasons, we should be getting.
That's correct. You're looking at environmental safety, and it you know, once we had those numbers a few years ago, it was, you know, it seemed to be a no-brainer, but we just getting there where we could afford it.
Right.
Mr. McClung?
So this will basically be funded from I&I, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I'd like to go ahead and, I mean, this is something I think it's important. So I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we put it out for bid.
I second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved. All right, thank you, Dwayne, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is ordinance for voting wards supplying census data. Madam Clerk?
Motion to discuss.
Second.
At the last meeting, you were provided information that it is the basis for,
You need to speak into the microphone, please.
yeah, thank you. At the last meeting, the information, the supporting documentation was in your packets. It will be attached to the ordinance, and it's referenced here.
Is there anything, what do we need to do here?
A motion to assign a number and read the ordinance would be grand.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to assign the ordinance for a number and read it for passage.
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
The ordinance number will be 2325, an ordinance redistricting the Eureka Springs election wards and applying 2020 census data along with an emergency clause. Whereas in accordance with ACA 1443-311, redistricting of wards, the City Council of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, a city of the first class, may redistrict the wards in the city when they determine that the people can best be served by adding wards, combining wards, or changing ward boundary lines to equalize the population in the various wards of Eureka Springs, state of Arkansas. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs that, Section 1, the council does hereby adopt the wards contained in this report. Each section includes population and demographic figures associated with the ward that is described based on the data contained in the U.S. Public Law 94-171 from the United States Census Bureau for Census of Population 2020. Section 2, Each row of the report lists the unique numeric identification code assigned by the U.S. Census Bureau for the geographic unit contained therein. Section 3, these unique areas may represent election precincts and blocks that together compose the geographic territory of the wards. Section 4, this listing serves as a written legal description of the wards. The map exhibits which accompany this report highlight the ward boundaries for each ward. Section 5, overall variance. The range between Ward 2 at negative 139%, below the target, and Ward 3 at 1.52% above the target results in an overall variance of 2.91%.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass ordinance number 2325 on its first reading.
Second?
All right, discussion? Ms. McClung made the motion and Ms. Myers second to approve it on the first reading. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Ms. McClung?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 2325 by title only for its second reading.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying,
Aye.
Aye.
oops, you got to do it roll call, I'm sorry.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Ms. Slane?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
6-0. Ordinance number 2325, an ordinance redistricting Eureka Springs election wards and applying 2020 census data with an emergency clause.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we pass ordinance number 2325, second reading.
Second?
All right, Ms. McClung made the motion, Mr. Myers second to approve on the second reading. Discussion? All right, just voices. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved.
If everyone's all right with it, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and read ordinance number 2325 by title only for its third and final reading.
And I'll second.
Discussion? All right, hearing none?
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Slane?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
6-0. Ordinance number 2325, an ordinance redistricting the Eureka Springs election wards and applying 2020 census data with an emergency clause.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion we go ahead and approve ordinance number 2325, third reading.
Second?
Mr. McClung made a motion to approve on third and final reading. Mr. Myers seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none?
Ms. Slane?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
6-0.
I guess we need a motion to read the emergency clause, so
Correct.
that's so made.
Okay.
All right, Mr. McClung made a motion to read the emergency clause. Mr. Myers seconded. Discussion? Hearing none.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Slane?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
6-0. Emergency Clause, Section 6. Whereas time is of the essence as a result of the upcoming filing period for the 2022 City Council elections, and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, an emergency is hereby declared, and this ordinance shall take effect immediately upon its passage by council and signing by the mayor.
All right, so moved.
Thank
Thank you. All right, that brings us up to our last item on the agenda is discussion for North Main Street property bid.
Motion to discuss.
Second?
All right. We had our bids on June 9th, sealed bids for the North Main Street property. We received two bids. One was from BCML Limited for $33,000, and the second bid was from Gerald Pate for $36,101. Mr. McClung?
Were either of these the same party that,
Yes, the person who submitted the $33,000.
so the second one on the list is a new bid?
Correct. We only had one bidder the last time.
Yes, I recall that.
Okay. What is the council's wish?
Move to accept.
I'll second that. Better rephrase that and accept
Well,
what?
move to accept the larger bid.
The $36,101 by Gerald
Yes, sir.
Fate.
I'll second that, and I have a question.
All right. Yes, sir.
I assume it's cash on the barrelhead.
Better be.
I mean,
We're not the finance.
there's not any contingencies or anything like
We're
that.
not a bank, no.
Yeah, and there's not contingencies other than
No.
we have to give good title,
There was the, no,
good as we can,
yeah.
of course.
Quit claim.
No, there was no contingencies. No, and we're not financing it.
And the appraisal was 50 or something like that?
55,000.
55.
All right. Further comments, discussion? All right, all in favor of awarding the bid to Gerald Pate for $36,101, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so moved. I will notify him, and we'll start getting deeds and stuff prepared for him.
He'll pay for the,
So, Mr. McClung?
Well, we'll also have to have an ordinance to do that, correct? To liquidate it?
To what? To liquidate it?
Yeah, to sell it?
I think we just...
It'd be like vacating or anything else, I'm
or a
sure. I bet we have
resolution
to
or
have it.
something? What do you think, Mr. Mayor? Or Mr. Attorney?
I'll go back and research. We'll research it. I'm not sure we did that before. I think the council accepting the bid is saying we're selling it. The council took bids, the council approved the bids. I think that's satisfactory. Mr. Jacoby will let us know if we need
Yeah,
to do something
yeah,
else.
but look into it for,
Okay.
yeah, sure. We want to do it the right way.
All right, that brings us...
Inquiry.
Yes, ma'am?
I have a question where we are with the BKD update. Is there anything that we need to know as far as how far along we are? Is anything changed?
Well, we're actually, that's not on the agenda, but just to answer your question, we've been in contact with them, and our finance director, I talked to him last week, and they were talking to him, and we're hoping to get some more information to them and get it back within the next month.
Okay.
Who-
Thank you.
What was that in reference to?
BKD Financial.
Oh, is that the?
That's an audit for
That's,
Water
yeah,
and Sewer.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember now.
All right. Agenda setting. Anyone? That brings us up to council comments. Ms. Lane, I'll start with you since you're on Zoom.
I got nothing.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Mr. Ott?
Here's a news breaking item. It's hot outside. I had the opportunity last night to attend one of our local attractions, and it was so nice and cool in there. It made me think that, you know, one of the things we need to utilize are these cooler indoor venues that we have here in Eureka Springs. And we'd love to think of ourselves as an outdoor, you know, mecca for people, but there are a lot of good attractions in town that are inside and air conditioned and stuff. So I would encourage us to not only encourage our family and friends, which is a big chunk of our tourism input, but also for us as citizens to utilize these people to go by and see their attractions, because they've invested a lot of money in this community, and it's nice to have them here. So that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts?
I don't have much. I just wanted to thank, specifically as it relates to me, the alley behind us on Dickey Street was redone after the rain because there was a big washout. And it seems like they've been doing that all over town. Armstrong's excellent up the hill there. I just love seeing all that work, and I appreciate what the city's done and the maintenance crew have done, getting that done and getting it done in a timely manner, because I almost fell it just digs out so quick back there, but they did an excellent job, and we really appreciate it. So just wanted to make that point.
Ms. Green?
I have nothing.
All right. Mr. Myers?
Well, yeah, I think Mr. Ott's got a good idea. All those in, like Chelsea's and Slane Tavern and some of the other bars, they could use everybody to come in and have a cool drink, watch some music,
And stay hydrated.
stay hydrated.
I'm taking music applications.
Mr. McClung?
I have nothing.
All right. Well, and going along with Mr. Ott's recommendation, I'd like to make note that on Thursday, June 16th, we're going to welcome Opera in the Ozarks to Basin Park. It won't be indoors, but it'll be in a shaded park to perform one of their upcoming operas, Pinocchio, from 11 o'clock to 1 p.m. That's the 16th on Thursday. So come on out and support the opera. This should be a fun opera. If you've never attended, it's really entertaining. And also on Thursday, the 16th afternoon, 3 o'clock, we're going to have the Crossfire Parade, which comes down Spring Street. And then on Friday, the 17th, the next day, Seth Darby will be performing in the park, music in the park from 5 to 7. And then on the 18th, we'll have School of Rock, which will also be in the park, and that's be from 5 to 7. And then the Eureka Strings will be performing music in the park on Saturday, the 25th, from 5 to 7. So we got some activities going on, even though it's not indoors. The park's shady and nice, and so come on in and listen to the music. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed, you can stick around. Thank you all.